Hey guys, it's Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworms of Buddy. It is time for my May wrap up. Okay guys, I did 9 books in May, which is really a good number of books to have read. 4 of these books were on the Big Read Challenge list, and I will tell you which ones those were when I get to it. So, we started out with Draw the Line by Lawrence Lynn. Very good book. I'm not going to go through all these because I'm kind of in a rush today. But this is pretty much a story about a boy who he's gay, he's bullied, he sees his friends being bullied, and he kind of shakes things up a little bit. While he goes through the things that he goes through, he draws. He has this character that he draws. And it's kind of secret for him. Nobody really knows that he's the one that has this character. But very good story. I ended up rating this one 4 stars. The next one I read was a book that I read with my daughter, and that was 1984 by George Orwell. I never thought about reading this book. I mean, I've seen people who read it or who've read it and enjoyed it. It is definitely worth the read. I feel like it was a little slow when it started, but it picked up a little bit, and my daughter wanted to read it because it kind of reminded her of the way things are going on right now in the world. And I agree. There's a lot of stuff in here, like trying to cover up history. Books, except they didn't ban the books, they rewrote the books. Just little details like that we're dealing with stuff like that today. So definitely worth the read. I gave it 3 stars. The next book that I read was Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This is actually both books. This is also Through the Looking Glasses in here, but I only read the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This is by Lewis Carroll, and I read this book because I made my Alice journal, and I just kind of wanted to refresh my memory of Alice's adventures, and just still love it. Still love the story. Fantastic. I rated this one 4 stars. So the next book that I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. You guys heard me go on and on and on about Carrie Maniscalco's Kingdom of the Wicked series, and really enjoyed that one. This one was a little slower to start for me, and this one we're following Audrey Rose, who wants to follow in her uncle's footsteps. This is set back in 1800, so you know, women couldn't like smear their name because then they wouldn't find a good man to marry and be taken care of and all that. Well, Audrey Rose was not like that. She wanted to be with her uncle, and he did what we call today autopsies, and would prepare the bodies for burial and that kind of stuff. And she was right next to him all the time. And all these women are being murdered. And she's not actually stalking Jack the Ripper. He's mentioned in the book, pretty much, is how he got into the title, I guess. So, but, I mean, it did pick up. Like I said, the beginning was really kind of draggy. But she helps her uncle figure out who is the one that's murdering all these people. I ended up rating this 4 stars because it did pick up like halfway through the book. I mean, it wasn't bad by any means. It just, I don't know. She just kind of has slow starts to her books. But it's definitely worth the read. 4 stars, guys. The next book that I picked up that I was really excited about was Hide by Kirsten White. I was supposed to be doing this as buddy read with my sister and my niece. I'm not sure if they read the book or not, but these people in here get told that they're going to win the big prize, and all they got to do is hide out in this abandoned amusement park. And that's pretty much the whole story. It wasn't really what I wanted it to be. It did get a little bit better towards the end. It did have a decent wrap-up, but it was just okay. I ended up rating it 3 stars, and that's probably generous for how I felt most of the time reading this book. Okay, the next one we got here, this one, oh, the Alice in Wonderland was on the Big Read Journal, and so is Holes by Louis Sekar. I don't know if that's how you say his name. This book, again, it started slow, but it really did pick up. We got Stanley, who gets sent to this place for something he didn't actually do. He was just he's that kid that gets bullied. And he gets sent here, and they dig holes. And nobody understands the big deal about digging holes, but that's what they do. It's supposed to, you know, give them determination, and they're supposed to become better people and more disciplined. And it really does change the mindset of the ones that get sent there. I really, really love the character. I love Stanley's character in this. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm sure a lot of people have probably read this, but it's definitely worth the read, you guys. I gave this one 4 stars. Next book that I picked up is I Am Death by Chris Carter. Again, fantastic. I don't need to really say much to you guys about the Robert Hunter thriller series because I say a lot every time I get the book. If you want to have more review on this, you can go watch the Tackle My TBR videos. But fantastic. Any of these books are fantastic. 5-star read for me. The next book, again, on the Big Read is The Secret Garden. This is by Frances Hodgson Burnett. First thing I gotta say is I do not like this copy at all. I picked this up from a used bookstore. There is nothing in here. No copyright. Nothing at all. It just goes right into the book. So I was just like, yeah, I don't know. I found it at our used bookstore. I got years and years ago, and it's been sitting on my shelf. So I decided I was going to pick it up and read it. I had the book. It's on the Big Read. I loved the story, you guys. You've got this little girl here who lives in India, and she's from a well-to-do family. And the disease cholera hits her hometown where she lives, and everybody dies. Her parents dies. The girl that her handmaiden that takes care of her, everybody, they all die. And they finally find her. Nobody bothered checking in on her. She's 10 years old. She's in what they call the nursery, but obviously she's not a baby. But they just called it the nursery. She was there, and she was waiting. She heard all the noise of people rushing and, you know, trying to heal the sick or what have you, but nobody once checked on her. She then gets sent away to England to live with her uncle because he was on the paperwork that he was to be responsible for her if anything happened to her parents. And this is just kind of an awakening for this little girl. She's very bossy and rude and snotty, and her whole life changed when she moved to England, and that's pretty much the story. She's trying to find the secret garden that her uncle had. His wife had the garden, and she passed away, and he sealed the garden so nobody could go in there, and she was determined to find the secret garden. This was such a pleasure to read this book, you guys. It's so worth the read. I absolutely loved it. I really did not like this little girl for the longest time because, you know, her upbringing, and it just makes you realize different upbringings of children and how, you know, they're raised and what that is molding them into. So now she has a second chance to, I don't know, be a happier person. But yeah, I'm rambling now. 4 stars for this, you guys. The last book that I read in June was A Rip Through Time. This is by Kelly Armstrong. This first came up, I was talking to my sister, we were doing a video chat, and we were, you know, looking at different books and stuff, and this book actually came up on my Goodreads feed, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what this is about, and I loved it. You got Mallory, who's a detective, and she's walking through this alley, and she sees glimmers of another woman, and she thinks she was murdered. Well, then, at that same time, somebody attacks her, and she is sent back into time. I think it's 1896 or 1869. What was the year? 1869. And she's sent back, and she goes into the body of the woman who she saw being attacked. And now she's got to figure it out. It was a fantastic read, you guys. I absolutely loved it. It was 4 stars. that is what I read. Sorry, you guys, I'm in a rush, but we have plans for today. But those are the books that I read for the month of May. If you've read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments below. But that's all I have for you today. Thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.